Episode 25. You've come to the right place. What is this guy? Kwon asked, glaring at both parties. He's a Ronin who hasn't been eliminated yet. It should have been eliminated. The original promise was to hand over only women and children, right? I will handle it. Deal with it now. Both parties approached me with swords drawn. He was confident he could beat me. How many conceits and illusions my young face will cause in the future, how many two parties it will bring about. Just looking at them, they are Parako cubs who betrayed their owners. Will they be able to receive the right money? He's probably going to kill me and take the money I'm going to give you. Then Kwon's eyes lit up. What? A Parako cub who betrayed his master. I stopped at that level because it was in front of the child. Kwon laughed as if it were absurd. This is strangely crazy. You were embarrassed because you hit the nail on the head, right? Were you really trying to kill that guy and make money? Don't do that. I killed all of my colleagues and came all the way here. Kwon's face turned red, unable to hide his true feelings. You damn bastard! Kwon shouted to his subordinates. Kill that bastard first. 3 masked people stepped forward. Look, that bastard starts first. Aren't you saying it's me and then you? Both parties could not hide their embarrassment at those words. Even if I run away, I have to take the money. The two parties, which had taken a step back, were shocked. What nonsense! When did I run away? The exact moment he got angry. Whoosh! Kwon's surprise memorization split the air. Unable to avoid the sudden memorization, both parties collapsed. The idiot is handling things like this, I said, looking at the two dead parties. If you live like that, your turn will come like this. This time I spoke to Kwon. You are just like him. I have to save at least one person to deal with me. What if I kill you because you lose your temper? How can everyone survive for so long if they are so bad at controlling their anger? How long are you going to listen to that bastard spout? As Kwon shouted, the 3 masked men approached with swords drawn. Indeed, they were powerful people who did not need to save the two parties and use them as a shield. I looked at the woman and pretended to cover the child's eyes. The woman hugged the child and covered her eyes and ears. I didn't drag this fight out for long. I jumped first before they attacked. Among the wind god treasures, he displayed the manhwa treasure. Even though he was barely a toddler, he turned his opponent into a newborn. They were not given a chance to defend themselves. In a flash, I was right in front of the other person's nose, and the moment he recognized me, his head was cut off. I could see the eyes of the second man's mask widening. If I could read his thoughts, I think it would be like this. OMG! In what? His throat was also slit. The third masked man failed to respond appropriately even though his 2 colleagues were dead. The time that actually passed was still before I could blink. It was an attack that could not be blocked even if prepared for 100 years with their skills now that the wind god's treasure had been added to my original martial arts skills. Just like before, the third masked man also dug into the manhwa and slashed with a flying sword. Kwon was looking at me with a shocked face. In his eyes, 3 sword lines were drawn at the same time, and it seemed as if his subordinates were also falling down all at once. Quick sword technique. I didn't even use the quick sword technique, but it must have looked that way to you now. What are you? Kwon's voice trembled in fear. Instead of answering, I asked the woman. Who is he? Gwonwon was one of the vassals who protected our family. I am Jim Salan, the wife of Golden Jangju. Golden Cabinet. I reacted in surprise, but I actually knew her identity. This woman's father was Jim Asu, one of the top 10 merchants in the Central Plains, the richest man in Fujian and the owner of a gold cabinet. It was the reason I ran so far. The Golden Rebellion. That was the incident that Lim Chu told me about. An incident in which the Golden Lord lost his life after being betrayed by the vassal he trusted the most. The daughter of Gyun Jangju, who had escaped their attacks due to a change in schedule, tried to run away by hiring a Ronin, but in the end, they all lost their lives. I want to hire a small cooperative. Please help us. Now that the situation has changed, my price has become higher. Thank God. This is because no matter how expensive the ransom is, they can afford it. Please kill the author and save my father. Then Gwonwon begged me. Save me and stick with us. I'll tell the old man and ask him to give me more money than that woman. You're giving me more money than the daughter of the golden owner? How? For a moment, Quan Wan was speechless. I walked towards him and scolded him coldly. I heard you were a vassal? Then your seat should be in front of that woman and child. Quan Wan desperately tried to avoid my sword, but the difference in skill between us was not something that could be made up by struggling to survive. My sword cut through Quan Wan's bones and flesh and even pierced his heart. He collapsed with a single scream. It was only when Jim Salan saw him die that she felt relieved. Of course, the child's eyes and ears were covered. I searched through the arms of Quan Wan and the masked people and took a sword to use as a memorizer. Wherever you need to go from now on, enemies will be swarming around. Let's go. We have to take our sheep to a safe place first, I said as I got on the coach seat. Get on. The safest place right now is next to me. Jim Salan's worries did not last long. I saw my skills firsthand, and if it weren't for me, I would have died anyway. As soon as she got on with the child, the carriage started to run quickly back the way it came. Yosang. He is the head of Yogajang, the guardian of the golden market, and the instigator of today's betrayal. He prepared for 10 years for today's big move. During those years, the main warriors of the Golden Jang were appeased, some were eliminated by feigning accidents, and those that could not be appeased or eliminated were sent out far away. He thought he had succeeded completely. Until I reappeared with Jim Sayan. When Jim Salan and the child got off the carriage, he smiled brightly. He mistakenly thought that his subordinates had captured the two men alive. Ha ha ha. If he had missed these hats, he would not have been able to sleep comfortably for the rest of his life. Where has Guan Wan gone? He thought I was Guan Wan's subordinate. He's dead. Everyone is dead except me. He must have sensed some discomfort in my tone of voice, but he was more curious about the next question. To which one? He was a young and handsome Shinbi expert. What? Yosang shouted with an expression of incomprehension. Pathetic bastard! What on earth are you thinking, praising your enemy like that? Because it's true. Good night. Let's say so. Then how did you survive? Yosang was shocked and then realized the situation. It's you. I answered with a faint smile. Yosang shouted and gathered his subordinates. They came in a swarm and surrounded me and the carriage. If you saved the woman and child, you should have run away. Why did you come back to the tiger's den? I looked around. Where is the tiger here? It's full of bastards who bit the owner who raised them. Not only Yosang, but also those around him radiated murderous spirit. They were the warriors of Junjiang who betrayed Yosang's beasts. Because something was pricking them, they covered their conscience with even colder anger. Jim Sayan, standing next to the carriage, hugged her son tightly. It was a scary situation, but she didn't look scared. She knew full well that leisure was only for the strong, and as a merchant, she was quick-witted. She took her son into the carriage so that I could fight in peace. Yosang also felt that I was not normal, so he was very cautious. Who are the small cooperatives? First, let's go inside and have a drink and talk. I will treat you to a good drink. There is no need to be so polite. Even if you pretend to be nice, they won't notice you. Even if I beg, they won't look at me. So feel free to curse and be damned. Yosang, who sensed that appeasement would not work, gave a cold command. Join together and kill. He emphasized the word joint work. As soon as the order was given, people came rushing in from all directions. Whoosh! 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 A dagger flew from my hand with the sound of a cool breeze. When I thought that I should avoid it or throw it away, Bisu had already cut off that thought and had stuck in my vital spot. The running warriors fell and rolled around on the floor. The secret art he learned in his life before his return was the secret art of escape from the secret world of secret swordsman Seo Munchiol. I have never found a better martial art than this before or since, so it was a martial art that I could carry with me for the rest of my life. As the rain fell, the survivors were seen rejoicing. It was a very brief moment of joy that came from the illusion that I was an expert in non-do arts. I drew my sword and rushed at them. They were at various levels of skill between expert and intermediate, but could not show any distinction in front of the Baishan sword technique that achieved great success. As I stirred up the hall, all the enemies fell and Yosang's face became gaunt. Who are you at Daehyope? The sword dripping with blood turned the small cooperative into the large cooperative. What is Dayhyope? He's just a knifeman passing by and smelling money. How long will it take for you to just leave? Do you have a lot of money? It's enough to change one person's life. Why did a guy with so much money do something like this? If you wanted to change your life, you should spend your own money. Why mess with other people's money? And the money of the owner who served him. Yosang, who was at a loss for an answer, just bit his lip. Just when he was racking his brain and wondering what to do. Throw away your sword. From the building behind him, his subordinate was coming out with a sword pointed at Jiemesu's neck. It seems that the subordinates were trying to force me into submission by taking hostages, but Yosang sighed and looked frustrated at the sight. I tried to negotiate with me by hiding Jiemesu somehow, but my stupid subordinate brought him outside. Anyway, the incident had already happened, so Yosang screamed and put pressure on me. Quickly throw away your sword. Otherwise, the Golden Lord will die. In an instant, a ray of sword energy tore through the air. Baikyeonjeombiop Ancestral Rite Ceremony Yonchansik. Originally, it was a rough and thuggish sword energy display, but when it was unleashed with powerful internal energy from the black magic sword, the momentum was enough to astonish the sky and turn the earth. Ku quaw 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 quack. The sword energy whirled and flew as if it were alive, hitting the warrior and passing by. He was hiding 3/4 of his body using Jumasu as a shield, but the exposed third had disappeared. The dead body fell down, leaving only Jumasu standing there. Yosang must have thought that this was an opportunity after he had poured all his energy into using his sword skills, so he struck with his sword like a thunderbolt. Because I was prepared, of course the converting blow missed. Yosang's loopholes continued to appear in the continuous attacks. Even if I had worked hard all my life, it wouldn't have been possible for me, but since greed took over where training should have been, there was no way he could be my opponent. I could have taken him down right away, but I gave him a few more chances. If I can easily defeat the head of the household, my curiosity and fantasy about myself will grow too much. Yosang's sword flew in succession, aiming for Yohyol. The attack was desperate because his life was at stake. People watching may have held their breath at Park Bing's victory, but my heart was filled with bright scenery. When 30 or so moves had passed. Deep! The fight ended with the sound of flesh being torn. Yosang's sword was thrown out and stopped in the air. Jiemesu's happy face was reflected on the blade of the sword. My sword, which crossed Yosang's attack at an angle, was lodged in his heart. Yosang's eyes were full of resentment toward me, but I calmly spoke to him. You're the guardian, right? You shouldn't have done this, right? If you want to make money in your next life, become a merchant. If you want to kill someone, you can do so. Yosang, who was already dead, couldn't answer anything. When he drew his sword, he collapsed. Jim Salan, who was watching outside through the carriage window with bated breath, cheered and got off with her son. Father! Grandfather! Jim Salan and the child ran to Jiemesu and hugged him. Story. Sheep. Jim Salan shed tears as she hugged her father, and as her mother cried, the child cried along with her. After a while, the trapped golden warriors were released. After the inside was cleared, Jiemesu expressed his gratitude to me once again. After hearing the story from Jim Salan, he was much more grateful for saving his daughter and grandson than for saving himself. I will never forget this favor. So Hyop is the benefactor who saved our family from extinction. Could you please tell me your honorific name? Since I dealt with Yosang and his subordinates alone, I could imagine how much curiosity there was about me. I'm just a Ronin passing by. Even if King Ronin had come, he wouldn't have been able to deal with them this easily. That is an overstatement. When I finally refused to reveal my identity, Jiemesu did not ask any more questions. Jim Salan told Jiemesu the promise she made earlier. I promised Gong. The compensation will be in money. Jiemesu praised his daughter with a satisfied expression. Good job. You made the most certain promise. After regaining his composure, he finally revealed his side of rejecting Fujian first. If what you need is money, you have come to the right place today. Episode 26. The more you take, the deeper your relationship becomes. Jiemesu took the lead through the secret passageway underground. The road was complicated like a maze. I could feel that there were deadly traps and machinery hidden throughout the walls, ceilings, and floors. Jim Salan, who was following along, felt nervous. After traversing a complicated path that only those who know the path can take, the place they arrived at was a secret warehouse where the golden treasure was stored. You saved our lives, so you should give us all your money, but that is unrealistic. I don't want to go that far. It would be nice to set a certain amount in return, but how about this instead? From here, Kong takes as much as he can take at one time. You must not use a cart instead, nor must you accept help from others. Are you even acknowledging that I brought it out? Exactly. Can I use my inner energy? Of course. Then you'll be carrying quite a lot, right? If it weren't for Kong, we would all have died, so we should compensate for this. Thank you. I will give you a test from now on. Are you okay? That's enough. I slowly walked into the treasure trove. When Juk entered the treasure trove, Jim Salan asked Asu, "Are you sure you don't mind?" "What do you mean?" "If you are a martial arts expert, you may take more than you think. Isn't it a waste?" Jim Salan smiled and said it as if it were a joke, but deep down she was worried that her father might get sick later. My father was a man who devoted his life to accumulating wealth. However, a large part of that life could have disappeared in someone else's hands. But my father's reaction was unexpected. Is there something more precious in there than what we protected today? Asu patted his daughter's shoulder. It's enough for you and Young to live together. If I lost you guys too? Asu couldn't bear to continue speaking. All his life he had heard that even if he was pricked with a needle, not a single drop of blood would come out, but at least he was a person who shed both blood and tears when it came to his children. It's just that I didn't have a chance to express it. Rather, there was something Asu desperately realized during this opportunity. I regretted so much that I had neglected my relatives in order to accumulate wealth, even though they were my relatives for whom I would have given all my wealth. And another reason why it is not worth giving away all your possessions. There are many types of death. There is nothing wrong with dying while striving for a certain purpose. In this case, it was a betrayal by a trusted vassal. He probably wouldn't have been able to close his eyes even after death. I'm not an ordinary person from so high up. Yes. Even though he was young, his skills were not average. What I saw was not just skill. Then what else did you see? I've been thinking about how to express that for a while, but I couldn't come up with it. That small cooperative has a momentum that cannot be expressed in words. He had met many people throughout his life. Even at such a young age, it was my first time seeing someone with such a relaxed and unique atmosphere. You can make money again, but a relationship with someone like that will only come once in your life. Moreover, the opponent was young. Asu hoped that his relationship with that young man would continue in the next era of Junjiang led by his daughter and grandson. So it doesn't matter if you take it all. The more you take, the deeper your relationship with us will become. I can assure you. I would never be able to enter a treasure trove like this again in my life. There was a mountain of gold jewelry piled up on one side, and if you looked at it, it was dazzling. Buddha statues, drone statues, tableware, decorations, tigers, toads, turtles, pigs, and all kinds of animals. Everything made of gold was piled up. At first, it must have been displayed well, but later the number grew so much that it seemed like they were just piled up like a mountain. In the cabinet next to it, rare jewels were displayed. From jewelry such as rings, necklaces and bracelets to women's playthings made of jade. On the opposite side of the table, ceramics were on display, and behind it was a painting by a famous painter. It was literally full of all kinds of rare things. Next to it again, things that excited me were displayed. It was a night wine that illuminated dark places and a poisonous wine that prevented poisoning when held in the mouth. In particular, the pidokju was the best product and was very small in size. There are 5 of each. Since these are things that cannot be easily obtained even if you have money, they can be said to be more valuable than any other jewels here. With a happy heart, I took some yummy yongju and pidokju first. I took them all and put them in my arms. A tremendous amount of value was taken into the arms, but it was just the beginning. The next thing I took was a ring on my finger that could be sold expensively, and I layered it with a bracelet and a necklace. It was so full that it was heavy. I looked for something to hold the gold items in. It would be nice to have a large leather bag, but unfortunately, I didn't have anything to put it in. Should I take off my clothes and put them in? While I was thinking about this, I found a piece of fabric standing in a corner. Upon inspection, I found that it was Kion Jamsa fabric brought in from Saoe. he tore it as large as possible with a sword, made it into a large cloth, and then swept the gold objects into it. Since it can be moved using internal energy, I tried to change the arrangement and pack as much as possible. Paintings and pottery were left behind. There was a risk of it being crumpled or broken. I didn't even know the exact value. I didn't think about the circumstances of gold and pearl. At least I wasn't someone you had to worry about when it came to wealth. In the same way, he filled the bag and packed it with treasures. Jim Asu and Jim Seon's mouths opened wide as they saw me coming out of the secret safe. I was carrying a bundle much larger than my body. It was so big that I couldn't even imagine how much was inside. The warehouse door was so big that I could just get out, otherwise I would have had to break the wall to get out. I'll just take this small amount. Thud. When I put down the bundle, the floor vibrated with a thud. Jim Asu laughed out loud when he saw the rings on each of my fingers and the necklaces and bracelets wrapped around my neck and arms. Ha 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 ha. Shouldn't you cry? It's true that I'm sad that my wealth is wasting away, but I'm glad that at least Prince Un is not a hypocrite. The hypocrites I know probably only brought out a few useless and trivial things to save face. But how much will it hurt your stomach? I just hate hypocrites like that. Greed is the most precious and important emotion that dominates humans. He was a fan of greed. Because of that greed, he may have been able to rise to the position of First Minister of Fujian. It was a really wise decision to tear up the Kion Jamsa and make a wrapping cloth. Thank you. It's a pity to break up. Please go and have a drink. I'm not the type of person to drink with treasure next to me. See you next time. If I need any help, can I come back to Ung Kong? Of course. Be sure to save a lot by then. At those words, Jim Asu chuckled. I was able to feel once again that the more honest he was about his wealth, the more his likability increased. Where should I go to meet Ung Gong? If you leave a message in Jiangju's name at the Westlake Guest House in various parts of the Central Plains, I will come and visit you. Seoho Gaekjan was a secret contact center operated by the university. In this way, I received necessary communication and played the role of sending messages to important people at our school. As expected, Ung Gong is an unusual person. Jim Asu will know. Only extraordinary people run liaison offices like this. Please take care until we see you again. I wish you good luck. After forming such a deep relationship with Golden Jiangju, I left there. My relationship with Golden Jiangju was never a loss for me, so I was able to leave there in good spirits. I found a carriage in the village, loaded it up with treasures, and headed to the bridge. On the way back, they shared and sold gold and treasure. Since it was a quantity that could not be digested in one place, whenever I stopped by the city, I stopped at several places to sell the jewelry. Having wandered around the midfield all my life, I knew very well what was where and where to sell it. Except for the Yamyongju and Pudokju, all gold items and jewels were sold. So, I left the money I bought to the most trustworthy companies, Zhongwan Battlefield and Darianjanjiang Pengwanjiang. The money I took like that amounted to a whopping 3.8 million Niang. It was a lot more money than I expected. Thank you, Golden Pearl. I don't know about you, but this money will become the cornerstone of an organization that will become a legend in the future. He left 3.5 million Niang on the battlefield and returned with only 300,000 Niang in vouchers. As soon as I returned to school, I went to Kyeonmajian and met my father. As always, my father was protecting Kyeonmajian like a mountain. As I walked the red carpet of the Road of Blood, this question suddenly occurred to me. My father will be here several times a day, listening to Simon Ming's reports and making important decisions. Some people live and others die because of that decision. Will my father be satisfied with this life? Could it be that my father, like me and Ian, was pushed to the position of heavenly demon? What you truly want is hidden deep in your heart. I heard you were expelled from school. I went there to make money. Why money? You can't live off your father's money forever, right? I think we'll need it a lot in the future. What are you going to use it for? I want to own a private organization. A private organization? My father's expression became slightly harsh. Don't the Masons each have their own minions? To deal with them, I also need an organization. It can't happen. If you have it, your brother will want it too. The Masons' blood relatives and disciples will also try to get it. Not possible. I didn't think I could get permission all at once. It wasn't something urgent right now. If one or two good subordinates gather together and the water overflows, then they will not be able to prevent the dam from collapsing. I didn't press and my father didn't mention it anymore. Did you make a lot of money? Yes, I earned a lot. I took out a thick envelope from my pocket and held it out in front of me. This is my father's. When my father held out his hand, the envelope in my hand flew through the air and went to my father. It was a piece of empty space that contained the secrets of extremely soft yet rapid rise. My father checked the inside of the envelope. What he was carrying was a voucher worth 100,000 nyang. What kind of money is this? This is my father's allowance. What? My father was surprised. The reason I was so surprised was not because it was an amount too large to receive as pocket money, but because of the word pocket money. I have a lot of money. I know. He is the richest person in the world. The money I just gave you is my first allowance as a thank you for giving birth to me and raising me. My father looked down at the slip for a moment and suddenly asked, "Are you flattering me?" From now on, I will flatter you so much that it will be embarrassing, but not as much as this allowance. I wanted to give it to you at least once. Then rest. Father. I bowed politely and walked down the bloody road. My father's gaze burned the back of my head until I left there. You must be very confused right now. He would have been the first heavenly demon in history to receive an allowance from his son. Episode 27 I heard. A few days later, I officially ascended to the Nether Pole. The warriors of Hwangkyongak arrived at my residence early in the morning. The person who took the lead was Seo Dae-ryong, a special investigator who also investigated the demon army. I came to see you, Lord. Investigator Seo. There you are. I applied. In fact, this small, gloomy-looking man in front of me played a big role in my becoming a netherworld. Let's go. I decided to take Ian with me. Ian, you come with us too. You have to learn how to run an organization. Thank you. She was so happy that she felt like she was going to fly, as if she thought I wouldn't be taken away this time either. We are not going to have fun. Go learn how the organization operates and how to treat subordinates. Don't miss a single thing and learn everything. Yes. When we arrived at Hwangkyongak, all the investigators came out and lined up at the entrance. It seemed like this was how a new state governor was welcomed. As I passed by, they all greeted me loudly. See you, Lord. I expected that they would not welcome my appointment. But it was a more favorable look than I expected. So, I quietly asked Seo Dae-ryong, who was standing next to me. Did you say that if I don't pretend to welcome you, I'll cut your monthly salary? No. Why is the atmosphere so good? Then Seo Dae-ryong lifted his foot and imitated hitting the ground. When I saw that, I could understand the reason for their hospitality. It was because of the old temple in the Magoon area. Godang killed the first investigator who went to investigate, and this time he injured the investigator. In that situation, I killed Godang by smashing his head, so it was like getting revenge on them. In addition, the resistance of being too young to sit in the footnote position must have been compensated to some extent by the blood of the heavenly demon, and his martial art skills have also been proven since he even killed the demon lord. Would you like to say something? At Seo Dae-ryong's words, I turned to my subordinates before entering the building. He slowly looked at each of their faces and said a short sentence. I don't know whether you will be happier or more unhappy if I become a footnote. But one thing is certain. Your heart will beat faster than before. After saying that, I turned around and entered the building. A murmur was heard from behind. There is no need to worry about how my words will be received. You'll find out soon. Seo Dae-ryong, who guided me to the office, was about to leave when I left him behind. Inspector Seo, you never thought we'd meet again like this, did you? Honestly, I was very surprised. I came because I wanted to see the investigator. Seo Dae-ryong's expression did not change at all, as if the words he spoke did not work. Ian, you must absolutely avoid such a blunt man. Life is boring. It could be Jinguk instead. Ian took Seo Dae-ryong's side. No, this guy is just soup without any ingredients. This time, Seo Dae-ryong came forward in person. It's not real soup, but it's not bland either. Oh, you have personality. There will be many times in the future when that personality will be needed. Seo Dae-ryong, who is quick-witted, immediately realized what I meant by this. No. This is bland soup. Please don't come to me for something dangerous. I'm going to eat that soup with rice. With a lot of spicy seasoning. Seo Dae-ryong took a step back. Although he pretends to be scared, Seo Dae-ryong is a brave man. I know that there is great courage and spirit in that small body. Tell me about this angle. I don't know anything. Then Seo Dae-ryong explained as if he had been waiting. As you know, Hwangkyongak is an organization that protects and enforces the school's rules and laws. In addition to eradicating corruption, we handle various incidents that occur on campus. The total number of people is 100, including 30 investigators and 70 execution officers. The execution officer was in charge of assisting and escorting investigators and arresting criminals. It's not as much as I thought. It's an organization that doesn't need to have a lot of numbers. Hwangkyongak was an authoritative organization that everyone feared. Of course, there were exceptions like the Demon Army, but most demons were afraid of Hwangkyongak. Out of the 30 investigators, there are a total of 5 special investigators. Special investigators are mainly in charge of cases that are considered difficult and important, but can be considered the same as regular investigators. Executive officers are not assigned to separate investigators and provide support whenever necessary. After listening to the explanation, I asked him, Inspector Seo, what do you think is the biggest problem with Hwangkyongak? Seo Dae-ryong, who hesitated for a moment, answered, No organization at our school can escape Parmesan's influence. Although he didn't point out Hwangkyongak, he meant that Parmesan was the biggest problem. Are you part of that influence too? Not me. Like I said, it's because I'm a loner. At least, this means that there was no involvement in school politics for money or promotion. But I am not a person with great beliefs. You can just look at them as grumbling complainers. So I like it. I don't like people who are too focused on ideals. I glanced back at Ian and said, I like reasonable people. Take care of yourself first. Ian only smiled slightly because he knew he was talking about him. My eyes turned to Seo Dae-ryong again. You did that, right? Our school will not change. What is it like? What about changing me and my school from now on? What if you show such passion and then leave? It's like you came so suddenly. I will go when the time comes. I, who ignited our passion together, must remain alone among the burnt ashes. That's none of my business. You said you were always a loner? What do you want to do? Seo Dae-ryong sighed loudly as if he was proud of my shamelessness, but his response was different from his actions. I'll do it. The reason is... Didn't you already show me the reason in the process of handling demons' affairs? Please take care of me in the future. Yes. Please leave it to me. I cheerfully extended my hand to him, and Seo Dae-ryong held it tightly. If I go, what will happen to you? How can I sit in my seat? Anyway, I received a warmer welcome than I expected. What is needed now is to make sure that the person I am is recognized. To do that, an example was needed. A very poisonous and bad guy. Are there any recent cases related to Parmesan that I need to revisit? The phrase to be taken care of again is a paraphrase of the phrase processed unfairly. Seo Dae-ryong understood what I meant right away. Of course, there is. The word of course brought back the problem of Hwangkyongak that Seo Dae-ryong mentioned earlier. Bring it. After a while, Seo Dae-ryong brought the documents. After checking the details of the incident, I let out a long sigh. Are you doing this on purpose to kill me? The case brought by Seo Dae-ryong was, of course, related to the Hyolkian Doma. I don't want to do this either, but it's a recent incident and fits what you said. So why do you need a blood-chopping block? Ian, who was watching, quickly intervened. Young master, you have to be patient this time. Elder Thomas is probably on the verge of exploding. I handed Ian the documents. The story written there is too unfair to cover it up for that reason. Read this and cover it if you can. After reading the contents, Ian couldn't bring himself to close the document and sighed. I can't stand this. I jumped up from the chair. Let's go. If fate calls me, I have to go. Actually, this is not fate or anything like that. It's just an inevitability that happens because of an old man who leaves trash around. Kwoksu was drunk. He was in a deep despair that even alcohol could not help. My son, who was attending military service, was assaulted by his friends. The son, who suffered a head injury, did not regain consciousness even after 10 days. Cho Chun Bae, the owner of Pungriu Bar, who knew his situation well, sat in front of him. Is the rumor true that they were released? Kwok-soo drank alcohol in succession. Shit! Shit! Investigator Hwang Cheong-gak investigated this incident. Of course, I thought the people who committed the accident would be locked up in prison. However, the three were found not guilty and were released. It was treated as an injury while having sex with a friend. You are all wrong. They say the father of the child who led this incident is a white swordsman. Beak Dogwi was the leader of 100 demons. Oh my! Cho Chun Bae sighed. If the other person's father was a subordinate of the Blood Heavenly Sword Demon and not even a 10-demon demon, but a white demon, this incident would have ended like this. The Hwangkyong-gak investigators are all the same. Those bastards are worse. Sure. Lower your voice. What if someone hears it? Jo Chun Bae looked around and calmed him down. Tell me to listen. Tell the Hwangkyong-gak bastards to kill me first. Tell the White Devil himself to come and kill me. Boom! Kwok-soo slammed the table. Cho Chun Bae quickly caught the bottle as it was about to fall. You man! Please be patient. If my son doesn't wake up, my wife won't be able to live up to my orders. Cho Chun Bae knows that that is not an exaggeration. This is because he was Kwok-soo's only son, and we have seen for a long time how much the couple raised him with care. You will wake up. If he doesn't wake up, I will kill him and I will commit suicide. It was right then. The sound of words coming from behind. Can I kill you? When the two people turned their heads, 3 young men were standing at the entrance to the bar. You? The person who just asked in a mocking voice was the young man in the middle, and this young man was none other than Yang Ho, who had led the assault. What kind of man are you that would kill someone else's precious son? Kwok-soo suddenly got up from his seat. You! When he met Yang Ho in an unexpected situation, he was surprised and embarrassed. But then he shouted loudly. You bastard! Because of you now, save my son! Save me! His emotions were so intense that he didn't even know what he was saying, but Yang Ho was upset. You bastard! We didn't hear a single apology from you. Then Yang Ho stepped forward and bowed his head politely. I'm sorry. I have truly committed a deadly sin. This will never happen again. Okay? I definitely apologized. So, you two, stop being this bastard and that bastard. What? What did you just say? I'm not your child, am I? The 2 guys next to him were giggling, and Yang Ho was also suppressing his laughter. Kwok-soo, mixed with drunkenness and anger, could not hold back and tried to draw his sword, but Jo Chun Bae rushed in and desperately tried to stop him. Hold on. Hold on. For the sake of your family, bear with it. It was obvious that if Kwok-soo drew his sword here, he would be killed by Yang Ho. Kwok-soo was a low-level martial artist in the side story, and Yang Ho was young, but he had learned martial arts properly from a young age. Man, are you crazy? I asked to apologize, but he tried to kill me. Yang Ho continued to provoke Kwok-soo, as if he had decided that he would just go. You really have no conscience. Now try killing it. Kill me if you can. How can humans be so shameless? Kwok-soo wanted to stab the guy right away. But that shouldn't be the case. He couldn't win, but even if he killed Yang Ho, that was a bigger problem. At that moment everything will end. Not only himself, but also his unconscious son and his grieving wife will all be murdered by Yang Ho's father. You guys, please go quickly. Hurry. Cho Chun Bae tried to get Yang Ho and his friends out, but Yang Ho acted like someone who had given up on being human. I was wondering who our Dong-ai resembled to be a coward, but he turned out to be just like his father. At that moment, Kwok-soo lost his temper. Kwok-soo drew his sword and Yang Ho's fist flew in as if he had been waiting. Kwok-soo, who was hit in the face, crashed into the table behind him and fell to his death. Obviously that guy drew his sword first. The 2 guys standing behind shouted that they had seen us, as if they were witnesses. Yang Ho rushed in and started beating Kwok-soo. Puck! 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 How dare the guy guarding the warehouse report me to Hwangkyong-gak? This was the reason why he didn't go back and started a fight. After being reported to Hwangkyong-gak, he was greatly scolded by his father and was unable to control his anger, so he came to vent his anger. Only after punching so many times did Yang Ho wake up from Kwoksu's body. This is all because of you. They told me to go home and steal the money. I can't do it because it's my father's hard-earned money. An asshole pretending to be nice on his own. Am I the only one who is trash? So how can I not hit you? This is all your fault. Okay? You confessed with your own mouth. Kwoksu's lip was burst and blood was flowing from the cut under his eye, but at this moment, he found some hope. What confession? Everyone here heard it. Why did you hit my son? I confessed that it was an assault, not a fight. Yango looked around wildly. Now, has anyone here heard what I said? There were several guests there, but no one came forward. Even the bar owner, Cho Chun Bae, could not come forward. The moment you step forward, not only will you have to close your business here, but even your life will be in danger. The same was true for those who were guests. They said no one heard anything? He he he. Yang Ho's laughter finally made Kwoksu shed the tears he had been holding back. You! I was so angry that I couldn't stand it. The reality of not being able to do anything while the guy who put my son in a coma was laughing at me and making fun of me was so devastating. As a father, I was embarrassed and very sorry. I didn't want to shed tears, but they kept flowing. An adult cries like an idiot. It's really a treasure trove. Ha ha ha. The guys who came with Yang Ho also chuckled. It was at that moment. A young man's voice was clearly heard from the second floor of the bar. I heard. Hold on tight because the 28th is leaving. Yang Ho shouted irritably at the words he heard from this floor. What kind of bastard are you? Then I heard the same voice again. You didn't even check who it was, so you started cursing right away. Then this time I heard a woman's voice. This is not courage, this is arrogance. The woman's voice was so pleasant to hear that I could understand why the expression rolling jade beads was created. Even if I got scolded by this woman, I felt good. What on earth is in that head that makes it look like that? Home education is probably wrong. Children who grow up well even if their parents neglect them will grow up well too. So you can't just blame the parents. You are correct. Normally, he would have been so angry, but Yango was lost in his thoughts. Now his mind was full of color thoughts. Just by looking at your voice, it seems like it's a match made in heaven, doesn't it? If we do well today, we can have a hot night. The guy who was with him was thinking of throwing away the harpoon and taking the girl. There was a reason why such fearless imagination was possible. The places to go to, such as guest houses or taverns in Magashon, were determined by one's status or ability. The Pungria bar run by Cho Chun Bae was a place where the lower-class warriors came. A place where not only his father but even his subordinate demons do not come. However, since this village of Mega is not a place where warriors from the political faction or faction are passing by, they naturally assumed that the opponents would be warriors from the lower class of the main school. Meanwhile, the conversation on this floor continued again. Seeing a child of a white devil commit such tyranny in broad daylight shows how powerful the devil is. It would be possible because of the power of Hyolki and Doma. Yang Ho was puzzled. It was my first time daring to look down on my father, but the other person was even mentioning Hyolki on Doma. I can imagine what it must have been like growing up from a young age. I grew up not knowing how scary the world was. Yang Ho, who was listening, spoke politely, unlike before. I hope that the deceased will appear and point out the mistakes of this foolish junior. He added as soon as he had finished speaking. You idiot, did you know this would happen? I don't know what kind of people are pretending to be mysterious people, but if you don't show your head right away, they will come after you. Then a man stuck his head out from this floor. Seeing his youthful appearance, Yang Ho's tension eased. Is that you? Yes, it's me. Who was the bitch you were chatting with? Then this time the woman stuck her head out. Yang Ho screamed at the sight of her. Ah. What? Why are you so surprised, so high up? Is it really you? Is that you? The voice was not a peerless beauty, but a fat woman. Yang Ho, whose happy imagination was shattered, shouted. If you don't want to be messed around with this crap, come down right now. Let's just go downstairs. I finished my drink at Ian's words. I was the one drinking on this floor. It was the moment when he came to meet the victim's father, Kwoksu, and caught an unexpectedly large catch. I quickly jumped from this floor to the lower floor. Ian followed suit and jumped down. Even though he was fat, he got off lightly with the Gyeong's imbiop. Yango was startled when he saw our movements. I thought they were third-rate warriors, but their movements were too agile. I lifted up Kwok-soo, who had fallen down, and sat him down. I'm sorry for not intervening earlier. I waited a while because I thought that guy's mouth was going to tremble. Thanks to you, I got your confession. This Confucius. Oh, you recognize me. Actually, I recognized the escort. He is very famous on campus. I looked at Ian and pouted. Does this make sense? You're more famous than me. How famous is that? They recognized me right away because I was so big. Sheesh. Yango's complexion became pale during our conversation. You are this Confucius. Relax. Because today I came to the nether footnote. No, then I guess I should be more nervous. Young Ho, who had been shouting loudly as if the whole world was his, quieted down and spoke politely. I did not recognize the precious person of our school. I am still young and I was rude, so please forgive me. Looking at what you're doing, you don't look young at all. No. He doesn't know anything. Yango bowed his head. This little guy is so clever that he knows when to bow his head like a ghost. Can I just leave now? Wait. I came here because I had some business for you. What's going on? This time, I came out to investigate the assault case you committed. A not guilty verdict has already been made at Hwankian Pavilion. This case is being fully re-investigated. In contrast to the startled Yang Ho, Kwok's face brightened. Jo Chun Bae, who was next to him, flinched and stopped in his tracks when he was about to shout for independence. I pointed out Yang Ho's crimes one by one. He took money every day, forced him to steal money for habitual extortion, instigated the theft and put his friend in danger by assaulting him, and not only did he attempt murder, he even came to the victim's father and assaulted him. Even if your sin is bad, it is still too bad. You will have to spend at least 20 years in prison. 20 years? Yang Ho turned pale because he couldn't handle it even for 2 days, let alone 20 years. No, it just happened while we were rubbing together. Late. You confessed directly in front of nether footnotes. Yang Ho, who was cornered, brought up the person who had been a shield against all kinds of evil deeds. Do you know who my father is? No. It's a white sword. If you frame me, my father won't just stay there. It sounds like a false accusation. Are you really trying to frame me? The guy flinched at my momentum. And your father will be too busy to take care of you. I also plan to arrest your father on charges of external pressure on the Hwankiongak investigator. The teenage Yango could not bear the pressure of this situation. My father won't leave you alone. I will come out of prison and take revenge on you. No, I can kill you even in prison. So, you have to think carefully. Poop. Before I finished speaking, my fist was mercilessly driven into his stomach. Lightning struck Yang Ho, who was sitting on the floor clutching his stomach. If you add the crime of blackmail, it's 30 years. Yang Ho raised his head in fear. I can't, please help me. I use my generosity. I give that away. Please forgive me. Okay, give me one reason why I should forgive you. Stop talking about your father. Well, have you ever saved someone's life? Who have you helped? Doesn't exist? Then, tell me something similar to a good deed. At least try to make it up. You can't make it up, right? It's something you've never done before, so it's hard to make something up all of a sudden. Why should I forgive you like this? I will live a good life from now on. Yes, pay for your sins in prison and come out and live like that. Wee ayik piuk. I punched the guy in the face mercilessly. My jaw spun and I fell down, losing consciousness. Transfer to Gak. I could have killed him halfway here, but I didn't. The real hell for him would be being locked in prison for 20 years. It wasn't just a threat. I really intend to sentence him to 20 years. Because our school's prison was a hellish place where human rights were completely ignored. I can guarantee that this guy will not last even a month before he commits suicide. Guaiguachan Sion? If he was that kind of guy, he wouldn't have done such a vicious thing in the first place. The two guys at the entrance took a step back to run away. However, there were warriors blocking the entrance. They were the executioners of Seodariong and Hwankiongak. They were known to be scarier than any of the warriors at the main school, as they were demonic forces. The two guys sat down and urinated. "We just did what we were told. Please save me." Punishment is punishment, but first, they have a role to play. If you don't blow it like it is, you'll end up ruining it all. "I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you." He said it in a tone that made it sound like he would forgive me if I testified, but it was just a false statement. If they receive the testimony, these guys will also be in prison. Although the sentence may be less than that of Yang Ho, who led the evil deed, I plan to punish him for at least 5 years. If we take these guys as an example, will there be people in the military or academic circles who dare to bully their classmates in the future? Take them to the interrogation room and get a statement. Yes. The executioners subdued the blood swords of the 3 people and transported them to the school. One of the guests who was watching couldn't help but applaud. Clap, clap, clap. Then the rest cheered all at once. He sang a cheer that Cho Chun Bae could not. Perhaps, if it weren't for me, this reaction wouldn't have occurred. But am I not the son of the heavenly demon? It was a situation where it was okay to cheer. I spoke loudly to them. If anything unfair happens in the future, report it to Hwang Kyong-gak. As long as I am in the Nether Pole, no external pressure will work. The applause grew even louder. Since you are not afraid of Mason, what other external pressure would you think would work? I ended it with a joke. If someone scares me by calling my father like that guy did earlier, I will call my father too. Laughter erupted from all directions. At that time, one of my subordinates came and told me something. I immediately conveyed the good news to Kwoksu. Before I came here, Dr. Ma treated my son. Are you sure? That precious person treating my son. Your son is more precious to me. And I heard that he just woke up, so please go quickly. Aya. Kwoksu, who was so shocked, screamed. Ah. Donga donga. You're alive. My son lived. Jo Chun Bae, the owner of the bar, hugged him. It's good, it's good. People who knew the two came over to congratulate them. Kwoksu shed tears of joy. I will never forget this grace. I stopped him from bowing loudly. Didn't you devote your whole life to our school? Of course, our school must protect you. We were able to maintain our school because there were people like these who devoted their lives to our school, somewhere, in silence. Today, this natural gratitude is disappearing from our school. Our school is grateful to you. I bowed my head to him. Kwoksu, feeling that my feelings were sincere, shed tears. Thank you, I really appreciate it. You should go see your son quickly. Okay, I'll just go now. He quickly ran to see his son. Jo Chun Bae, the bar owner, told me. If you come anytime, we will provide you with drinks and snacks. Thank you. Next time I'll come and get you a drink. I would be honored if you would do so. Cho Chun Bae bowed and greeted. All the guests who were with us also bowed. For them, it will be the first time something as exciting as today has happened. As they bowed and left, Ian and Seo Dae-ryong, who were standing behind them, walked towards me. Seo Dae-ryong asked cautiously with a worried face. But are you sure it's okay? Not only Yango but also his father, Baek Do-gui, will be arrested, which will really upset Hyul Kyeon-doma again. Are you okay? There will be chaos again. I'm worried. This is a case you brought, right? To bury me under the great knife of the chopping block. Yes, but... Seo Dae-ryong sighed. Regret was evident on his face, as if he should not have brought up this incident. I spoke strongly to Seo Dae-ryong, who desperately dreams of change, and to Ian, who is still afraid of change. We haven't even started in earnest yet. So don't be shaken and hold on tight. Episode 29, What We Should Be Afraid Of. Of course, I thought the blood demons and demons would come first. However, the first backlash against Yang Ho's arrest came from within. About 30 Hwang Kyong-gak investigators gathered in the main hall and called me. The person who led this matter was Gok Myong, the most senior special investigator. I had to go to the office in person, but there were too many people, so I committed this rudeness. I don't think you have anything to say, but I think you came here to fight. Absolutely not. Don't misunderstand. They did not come with one mind. I could tell just by looking at their eyes. Who came to visit because they were dissatisfied, and who reluctantly moved with them. The song name represents everyone. I heard that this office re-investigated a case that had already been closed with acquittal. It did. That is an action that undermines the morale and authority of our investigators. I asked the investigators standing behind the song title. Do you think so too? Yes, it is. They answered loudly. My thoughts are a little different, right? Rather, I think this Yango incident has undermined the authority of this cabinet. And very seriously. What do you mean by that? Is it really necessary to explain such common-sense things? This is disappointing. Then Gokmyong stiffened his expression and refuted. The Lord has already done something that is unreasonable. Did you hear that when I arrested Yang Ho this time, he confessed everything in front of everyone? I heard. But what? Why on earth did you come here? What we are talking about is a re-investigation of a case that has already been closed. Is it a matter of principle? That's right. It is also unprecedented. Investigator Gok. An innocent child was beaten to death, and the guilty one was caught and even confessed. Of course we should re-investigate, right? How do you think you, who stand up for your principles, will be viewed in this situation? Even if you say it's outdated, there's nothing you can do about it. Because principles are so important in an organization. Is he being stubborn or trying to put pressure on me? He didn't even try to take a step back. Okay then, let's find out what everyone thinks. Anyone who thinks a re-investigation is right, come here. I'm here to take group action, so I wonder if anyone is moving now. A person walked this way. He was Seo Dae-ryong, my absolute supporter. Since we all knew that he was a close friend of mine, there was no ripple effect. You are my loyalist and one-day investigator. If you say that, doesn't that mean I moved based on personal acquaintance? Isn't it? No. Regardless of my loyalty to the Lord, I think this case should be re-investigated. The reason is, the investigation was insufficient. Several investigators, including Gok Myong, blatantly expressed their impressions, but Seo Dae-ryong calmly expressed his thoughts. We also cannot rule out the possibility that there was external pressure. Good. Who agrees with this opinion? This time I raised my hand and looked at the investigators. In a situation that seemed unlikely, one person stepped forward. I think so too. He was a military officer who was injured by Godang during the last Magoon investigation. Not only did I avenge him, but I also asked Dr. Ma to give him the best treatment. This is Ik-ho. I couldn't greet you properly at that time. Thank you very much. How is your injured body? It's okay. Thank goodness. Other than Ik-ho, the other investigators did not move. It seemed like they were paying attention to the song's title. Well, you've only seen me for a few days, but I've probably been with you for as little as a few years or as long as a dozen years. At that time, one more person moved. This is Prince Young. Ik-ho and I are in the same group. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for avenging Ik-ho. Thanks to the support of both armies, several people gathered courage and moved to my side. They did not move because of personal relationships. These were people who believed that this investigation was wrong. However, there were still an overwhelming number of people standing on the song title side. I called out to one of them. He was the person at the center of today's events. Investigator Zhonghua. Yes. Zhonghua was the investigator in charge of this case. He is the one who acquitted Baekdogwi's son. What do you think? I investigated the case properly. I approached Zhonghua, looked at his face, and asked, did you take a bribe from a demon? For a moment, Zhonghua's expression hardened. The person who got angry on his behalf was Gokmyong. What nonsense are you talking about? I asked Gokmyong with a cold prayer. Then did you get it? No. But why are you coming forward? You even make stupid remarks to your superiors. Because it's my subordinate's job. It's also my job. Is not it? At that moment, Gokmyong realized that he had made a mistake and lowered his head. No, sorry. Don't go out without permission. Yes. After controlling his mouth, he spoke to Zhonghua again. Did you get money from a white devil? No. Do you swear? I swear on my life. He didn't avoid my gaze, as if he was innocent. If you don't believe me, do your research. I already investigated. They really didn't take any money. Everyone was surprised by what I said. Already investigated means that the internal investigation has been completed. I told him not to come forward, but he couldn't resist the name of the song. Our investigators cannot conduct internal investigations unless it is a special investigation. It was conducted as a special investigation. We even received orders directly from the leader and conducted an external investigation. I coldly asked Gokmyong, who was startled. Did you think the leader wouldn't give me this much support when he appointed me as a head priest? No. I looked at everyone and spoke calmly. I was curious. Why was the incident covered up like this when no money was received? I did not cover up the incident. According to my research, I cut off Zhonghua. He said he was going to kill your sister. For a moment, Zhonghua froze. His expression said this. How did you know that? After investigating you, I found that you are a person of rare integrity. I didn't believe it. I told him to search further. There is no one in the world who hates money. But surprisingly, you were a truly honest person. So why did a person of such integrity just ignore the incident and move on? You have one major weakness. My little sister, my only family. Zhonghua's eyes wavered. Surprised, I asked him the name of the song. Were you really threatened by that guy? Zhonghua couldn't answer anything. You bastard, tell me. Did you really get threatened? The name of the song was Bright, but Zhonghua lowered his head and said nothing. I also know why the name of the song took the lead in this matter. Zhonghua was the junior whose favorite song was named Zhonghua. He came forward to help prevent Zhonghua from being disadvantaged due to this incident. I told Zhonghua, it's okay if you're worried about your sister. Because they have already sent executioners and are guarding them in a safe house. My brother will be safe until this incident is completely resolved. At those words, relief finally appeared on Zhonghua's face. Soon he knelt in front of me as if he was acknowledging everything. I committed a mortal sin. Gokmyong sighed as he watched that happen. Iced coffee. Since they worked together for a long time, they probably knew better than anyone else how much Zhonghua cared for his younger sister. But it seems he didn't know this had happened. I said to Zhonghua, who lowered his head. You know you shouldn't do this even if you're threatened, right? I will accept your punishment well. The expressions on the faces of the investigators watching were different, but they were all angry. This matter was no one else's business. You never know when you might experience something. Get up. Yes. Zhonghua stood up. If it had happened after I became a footnote, I wouldn't have forgiven you. But since this happened before I came, I especially forgive you. Are you really forgiving me? It's not that I forgive you, but that you have forgiven me for your past life of integrity. Now your past life of integrity is gone because of this incident. Let's build again from the beginning. Zhonghua was deeply touched because he did not know whether he would forgive himself. Thank you. Thank you. But what really moved him was his next words. Since I came to Gakyu, your family is like my family. I will kill all the bastards that mess with my family. Why? Don't you believe it? I also cut down the demon lord. Do you think he would be scared of a demon? I felt the eyes on me getting hotter. From now on, this office will not allow any external pressure. From this moment on, if you receive even a single penny, you will be subject to a serious crime. You will have to be prepared to be locked up in the same prison as the prisoners you put in. If you feel like you can't protect it, get out of this corner. There were various reactions. The joy, excitement, antipathy, and disbelief rising from their faces. Instead, I won't let anyone who messes with you like this happen. If you tell me when you are threatened, I will definitely protect your family. Even if you have already been kidnapped, we will definitely rescue you. You can trust me. If you don't trust me, trust the leader. Even if it means begging my father to save me, I will definitely save you. So, if any external pressure comes, be sure to report it to me. I was speaking the truth. The Nether Pavilion will function properly when you are confident that you and your family are safe. I am a person who believes that whoever commits evil deeds should be punished. Even if I make a mistake in the Battle of Kionma, I will not let it go. If the cult leader commits a crime, he will be arrested too. Everyone stopped breathing for a moment. The words about arresting the Kionma meant that there was nothing strange about dying to the Kionma right now. It's not the leader or Parmesan that I'm afraid of. What I'm afraid of is that we become assholes. You can't stop someone who can't protect the person he should be protecting and should be punished from escaping with a grin. When I caught that guy yesterday, everyone in the guest house was so happy that they clapped their hands. I am someone who likes to be in the spotlight, so I will continue to receive applause from now on. As my sincerity was conveyed, the investigators' expressions changed. In particular, Jonghwa, who had been threatened, had red eyes and did not know what to do. At that time, the investigator standing behind the song name walked towards me and said, "She was Seo Dae-ryong's favorite Jo Hyang. I also want to receive applause along with you." That was the beginning. One by one, the investigators walked towards me. Some were sincere, while others came reluctantly due to the atmosphere. Does not matter. What is important now is that they all moved in one direction. Now the last people left were the song names. Don't you like the new principles I've established? No. But why are you standing there? Is it because your pride is hurt? No. I don't know if what you said was sincere. You're welcome. He was proud now. I came with good intentions for my juniors, but the cause and momentum I came with disappeared, and I even ended up being embarrassed when I went ahead. That's why these few steps are so difficult for him. I need to soothe that wounded pride. Because that is the role of the leader. It was a time when unity was needed rather than division, and although he was stubborn, he was not a bad person. In fact, when I searched for Jonghwa, he also searched everything. Everything I said earlier was sincere. I really need your experience and help to make my sincerity a reality. I reached out to the name of the song first. Help me. Thank you. Footnote. The name of the song held my hand. His hands were shaking. This work has value beyond appeasing the name of the song. This is because of the investigators who are watching this. I immediately gave an order to Seo Dae-ryong. Investigator Seo. Yes. Go right now with the executioners and arrest Yang Ho's father, Baekdogwi Yang Tai. The crime is special intimidation. At that time, the name of the song was carefully said. I will not submit to arrest easily. I said it loudly for everyone to hear. If you say that, I will blow up the entire demon. You may be wondering what on earth you can believe in, but one thing is certain. The Hwankian Pavilion investigators standing in front of me have probably never once heard of blowing up an entire demon since they took office. They were excited. Your heart may have already started beating faster. I can feel that heat. I can be sure of this heat. Today is the day with the highest morale since the creation of Hwankian Pavilion. Episode 30, The Reason Why Carl Cries. Seo Dae-ryong, who went out with his executioners, returned in vain. Yang Tai resisted arrest. In the realm of the Namdo sect, the justification was that demons could protect themselves. I tried to drag him by force, but his subordinates came forward, so I had no choice but to retreat. Since he was a white devil, he had 100 subordinates under his direct command. If he refuses to comply, it will not be easy to arrest him. The investigators were excited as their morale soared. It's disrespectful to us. We must forcibly arrest them, even if it means taking all the executioners. The name of the song calmed the excitement of the young investigators and presented a cautious argument. You have to handle it carefully. If there is a conflict with the demon, the executioners will be seriously injured. But we can't just move on like this, can we? While the investigators were arguing, I handed them a document. Now send this to him. OMG! What I showed was a summons, and the reason everyone was surprised was because of the crime I wrote on it. The crime of rebellion. Will I be charged with rebellion for refusing to comply with arrest? It was a content that the veteran did not even know the name of the song. Okay. We are appointed directly by the religious leader, and Baekdogwi is appointed by the Hyolkion Doma. Our orders and the orders of Hyolkion Doma cannot conflict. In the end, it's like he disobeyed the leader's orders. There is no need to go directly. If you send a summons in person, they will come running. He will come if he makes a mistake and sparks the charge of rebellion among all the demons, he will die at the hands of the demons. All right. Seo Dae-ryong received the summons and ran straight away. As expected, less than half an hour after the summons was delivered, Yang Tai appeared at Hwankyongak in person. The word treason was a magic word that made even the most foul-tempered opponent obedient. But although I could get him to come here, I couldn't make him confess. Even after an hour had passed since investigators began questioning him, he did not admit to having threatened to kill Jonghwa's younger sister. As I had expected, I went into the interrogation room myself. Yang Tai was sitting on a chair with his internal energy suppressed, and when I entered, he flinched in surprise. No matter how good the White Devil's spirit was, it couldn't compare to my strength these days after cutting down the Demon Lord. Gonya Li. You should call me Hwankyongakju, not Li Gonya. I was rude. Footnote. The summon said it was a charge of rebellion. What do you mean? I think this is the only way we can see our sheep. When I smiled and spoke softly, Yang Tai also responded softly. I apologize for not complying with arrest. As you know, aren't there a lot of things you have to pay attention to when you work in an organization? I have dignity in the eyes of my subordinates. I understand. It wasn't an issue that would become this big in the first place. It happened because of their prank. No, there is that side to it. When I obediently accepted his words to see what would happen, Yang Tai seemed to think it was right and began to cajole me. I thought he would be someone I could communicate with. I think we can resolve this well. How? Isn't this your first time taking on a major responsibility? As we run Hwankyongak in the future, we will need a lot of outside help. It will cost a lot of money. Although he was saying it differently, he ultimately meant that he would pay a bribe. Where is that? If you want to become an official successor in the future, you will absolutely need our help. I guess right now, everyone is lining up for the Archduke. If you can help me, that would be great. Please help me a lot. Then Yang Tai's expression suddenly brightened. As expected, you are a generous person. I will take good care of you from now on. And we'll create a good spot sometime soon. He looked at me and quietly got up from his seat. Where are you going? Isn't the story over? Didn't you mean that you would help me when I get out of prison later? Yang Tai's expression hardened at the word prison. What kind of joke makes you so upset? I looked up at him and expressed my cold prayers. Does this sound like a joke? It's about threatening to kill the family of a Hwankyongak investigator. I clearly stated that I never made such a threat. Your statement is irrelevant. Because the statement of the investigator who was already threatened was accepted. What do you mean by that? This school has these rules. The statements of Hwankyongak warriors take precedence over any conflicting statements. This provision was created to protect the authority of Hwankyongak investigators who enforce the school rules. You probably didn't know. Because I now know that there is a law like this. It's all because of people like you. There are a lot of people who think that if they insist, everything will work out. Yang Tai was embarrassed and couldn't say anything. Until I first came here, I would never have thought something like this would happen. A thunderous force was added to it. If you confess, I will reduce your sentence to 10 years. If you deny, you will be sentenced to 20 years in prison. There are no more negotiations. What? 10 years? Yang Tai was so shocked that he even stuttered. Choose. Are you crazy? As Yang Tai's suppressed nature came out, his words became harsh. If I have to go crazy, I'm willing. I think it would be difficult for anyone in their right mind to deal with people like you. Now, I'll give you half a minute to think about it. Eventually, Yang Tai's composure was broken. He said with burning eyes. Don't be ridiculous. I have no intention of going to prison for even a day, let alone 10 years. It wasn't worth talking about anymore, so I got up. The trial will be held in a few days. Whose will it be? As I wish. You live the way you want, right? His urgent words caught me as I turned around. For a moment. Master Li. Footnote. Why are you doing this? Are you asking because you don't know? Your son assaulted his friend and almost killed him. I didn't just get hurt in a fight once, I was tormented every day for years. However, the parent threatened the investigator that he would kill the family in order to investigate the case. But why are you doing this? Are we the same as the guy who guards the warehouse? Shouldn't they at least be treated like superiors? You've turned a blind eye to this until now, right? Those were sad words and scary words at the same time. These were also words that motivated me to move forward. Not from now on. If you touch me, Mason won't just stay away. It will just stay there. It was still there when I cut down the Demon Lord, but what are you saying? Finally, Yang Tai exploded. He came to the wrong conclusion that he ended up like this because he was doing well. Boom. Yang Tai, who hit the desk, gritted his teeth and said, "Hey, Netherfoot. I am a person who has many friends with whom I have shared my life. I assure you, no one will step up for you. Who would risk their life because they truly like someone like you?" A word thrown at him as he trembled. "Why? Suppose they kill my family too?" Young Tai was excited, but did not dare to say anything. As I watched the guy gritting his teeth and swallowing his anger, a thought suddenly occurred to me. The reason we collapsed may not have been because of fire weapons. Discipline had collapsed to the point where a single beak dog we threatened the Hwangkyongak investigator and even subtly threatened me. "Please confess." I spoke calmly and got out of there. When the door closed, the only sound that could be heard was the sound of a desk being struck. That very day, Hyolkyondoma came to see me. He was sitting in the front yard of my residence, drinking, with his large knife stuck in the ground. "Welcome, Gongya Lee. Should I call it Nether Footnotes now? Call it whatever you prefer. I'm more comfortable with being a scientist, so I'll just call him Lee Gongya." "That's right. Come here and have a drink." I obediently sat down in front of him. He asked me to drink with him, but he didn't pour me a drink. "I definitely should have warned you. It won't be good for you to see me often. It's always the elderly who come to visit me." Hyolkyondoma looked at me for a moment and suddenly brought up something from the past. "I had a moment recently where I felt something new about you. When I won the dance and made a wish to the sect leader, I shouted this to myself. Yeah, that's it. If you're smart, you should make a wish like that. I think it was a really good wish." Yes, it started from that day. Hyolkyondoma emptied his glass and filled it again. "They haven't given me a drink yet." He started drinking again. Hyolkyondoma was sitting against the wall, leaning against the great sword that was stuck behind his back, and compared to his skinny body, the overwhelming size of the sword aroused admiration. "It's a really nice knife. Aren't you afraid of that sword?" "Why should I be afraid? You make my sword cry." I did not avoid the gaze of the blood-chopping block that seemed to be flying towards me. "Is it because of me that Carl is crying?" "Then why are you crying?" "I cry because I feel sad." "What?" "A disciple gave me a mountain attack at a martial arts competition, and another disciple came to me and insulted my subordinate. The younger brother used the demon army to satisfy his own self-interest, and the subordinate threatened to kill the Hwangkyongak investigator. When a sword cries, it cries because it laments that those around its owner do not live up to its owner's character." The corner of Hyolkyondoma's mouth curled up. "Your speaking skills are top-notch. You're just reciting facts, but you're becoming eloquent. What you said is wrong. Please teach me." "First of all, you said that those around you don't measure up to my personality, but that's not true. They just suit my personality. I am only that kind of person." As expected, he is a formidable old man. People with high pride or desire for honor are easier to deal with. And strictly speaking, it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's because of me. When a dragon ascends, it brings wind and rain. Who is the dragon? Who are you? Aren't my people being blown away by the rain and wind? What kind of ascension is this? Loaches cause flat wind waves in muddy water. The loach becomes a snake and the snake becomes a dragon. Once again, Hyolkyondoma emptied his glass. He still drank alone. Shit! It's all good, but why is my person being swept away? Hyolkyondoma put down his drink with a lament and directly revealed the purpose of his visit. Free the trapped white devil. Because of you, our Namdo sect's morale is at its lowest these days. If they are investigated and found not guilty, they will be released. The Hyolkyondoma began to emit magical energy. Just as I felt the intensity of this demon energy before, I was able to understand why my father said that I could not handle the blood heaven chopping demon just yet. Certainly, Mason's martial arts are of a different level. Let me give you some advice. Don't do it. What? Hyolkyondoma's expression distorted for a moment, but I calmly continued speaking. If you came to ask for a favor, just ask. Asking for favors and giving advice. Don't do that. Young people these days view people like that unfavorably. It was a situation that made me angry, but the old ginger was very spicy. Instead, he collected the magical energy that was pouring out. That is correct. Nowadays, it's rare to find someone who gives such direct statements. You must be on guard. Stagnant water tends to rot. Who wants to be stagnant? If you soak in it, you may miss the opportunity to take it easy and let it go. But we're not soaking in rotten water, are we? Please take this opportunity to wash away the rotten water. He is not worth protecting. Hyul Kyundoma entered the glass he was holding. After refreshingly emptying the glass, he held it out to me. Would you like to have my drink? It was the first drink offered to me since we sat down together. I obediently accepted the drink. Hyul Kyundoma said while pouring the drink. Okay, I'll wash away the rotten water. You are truly wise. At the very moment I was about to empty my glass, Hyul Kyundoma said something meaningful. Instead, from now on, Lee Gongya will be my water.